1. I've been at a more upscale but approachable restaurant for about 2 years now. We get a lot of entitled guests who feel they're God's gift to the world, and will outright tell staff they're disappointed that our restaurant isn't full of college kids, since serving isn't an adult job. I've heard this from many customers on many different occasions. Even though our restaurant is a type pre-COVID, you can make 6 figures if you had the right shifts and knew what you were doing, but I digress. Our staff tries their best, but our corporate standards are absolutely ridiculous and borderline impossible. To put it into perspective, you can get a formal write-up for saying mayo instead of mayonnaise at a table, or, as I did once, sauve blanc instead of sauvignon blanc. Our executive general manager is beyond insane, to the point that we're trained to never speak directly to her, but instead go to another lower-ranking manager, and they'll convey any information to her that's necessary. If staff does speak directly to her, she will stare at you like you're crazy without saying a word, or outright ignore you until you get the picture, and then find a manager and scream at them like you murdered her family about how inconsiderate it was that someone interrupted her train of thought. Again, this is just to paint a picture of what it's like day to day. I try my best to stay poised and professional, as I've only been there for 2 years, and am consistently at the top of the charts, which means good money for the most part. Although post-COVID the money has just not been there, even though we're at full capacity. Lately though, they've decreased our party sizes to a maximum of 2, even though our booths can easily accommodate up to 8. I put in my 2-week notice last night, as I realized I was growing to be snappy with newer staff, just like our executive GM, and that's not at all what I want for myself. Today I came in and my very first table was just awful. It's 2 guys, clearly there for a work lunch, and one of them is a somewhat regular known for barking at staff and complaining to management that his service is always awful. Management typically sides with him and comps at least a drink or appetizer from his check. I walk up, ready to introduce myself and take their drinks order, as they'd just been seated. Here's how it goes. Hi, I'm ready for you to take my entree order. Oh, are you? You don't want me to get you started with any beverages? You don't care to know the name of the person in charge of your service today? You'd just like to inform me you're ready for your entree order. Incredible. The guest looks wide-eyed, and I can't tell if he's embarrassed or angry, but honestly, I don't give a flying fuck anymore after all. What are they going to do if he complains? Fire me? Okay, in that case, my name is, and I give him my name, and I'll be taking care of you gentlemen today. Would you care for a water or perhaps another beverage to begin your experience? At this point, the other guy at the table is visibly trying to hold back laughter as it's clearly a business meeting and he's not the one in charge. Ice water. Perfect. I'll have that out for you shortly. Now feel free to go on with your order considering you said you were ready. The rest of the meal went just fine with no hiccups, and he tipped 20%. It was just so nice to be able to somewhat snap without worrying about consequences. Every other server on the floor told me they all stopped and were waiting for the fit he might throw when I got a little sassy. But it just solidified I made the right decision in putting in my notice. 2. This took place a few years ago. I just recently remembered it. I worked at a restaurant with 2 floors, 2 bars, and 3 dining rooms. Upstairs has a ski lodge feel with a large bar, enough TVs to show every game on that day, and a bunch of tables. Downstairs is a small bar, sits 6 to 8, mostly used for service drinks and takeout. About 15 tables in that room and 3 TVs. The other dining room downstairs has no TVs and is preferred by our older customers. Now that we have set the stage, let's get to the story. I believe it was a Wednesday night. Not normally super busy or super slow. But this Wednesday we had a big event for a YouTuber who was getting his own show. I'm going to leave him nameless, but some of you might figure out who he is. And even though it's not hard to work out, if you do figure it out, please don't mention it in the comments. The event was for the showing of his first episode on TV. We advertised the event and got a great turnout. The whole place is packed. We put a projector in the dining room without TVs. The YouTube star, in my opinion, is annoying, and so are most of his followers who come in. But they're spending money and the building is on a weekday, so who am I to complain? I was bartending at the smaller bar downstairs with another girl. We took a small section of tables while serving the people at the bar and making drinks for the whole downstairs. Not a big deal, but it got hectic. One of the tables is 2 guys. They were the equivalent of young male Karens. They didn't make a reservation and were upset that upstairs was full. I got them a table in the downstairs bar room near a TV and told them that a lot of people were planning to go upstairs for the viewing, and they were more than welcome to do that. They eat and drink, and I think everything is going great. The star of the night comes downstairs, says hi to tables, and takes selfies. I see his table posting their selfie on Instagram. Once the show starts, these guys and many others head upstairs to watch. It's a 30-minute show full of pranks, and I remember correctly the guy dresses like an old man often. Now, we should have held credit cards, and I take full responsibility for not. But it just wasn't something we did at the downstairs bar, as most customers don't wander around the building. The show ends, people come back to their tables, either close out or enjoy another drink. The downstairs starts winding down, and this table is nowhere to be found. I head upstairs to look for them, and they are not there, hoping they are outside smoking or we just didn't see them. The other bartender and I go about cleaning up and serving the remaining customers. End of the night comes, and they clearly left without paying. Save your lawyer talk. I know it's illegal for the restaurant to make us pay, but they would have. I made way too good money there to get fired over having to pay one check. But then I remember this table posting on Instagram. I decided it was worth a shot and looked through the hashtag of the YouTube star's catchphrase. Lo and behold, I find it. Being a petty bitch, I use a YouTuber's catchphrase and comment on the picture. Would you look at that? You skipped out on your tab and I found you. Please call the restaurant and pay your tab. Not even 5 minutes later, this guy calls the restaurant and pays his tab. Some excuse that he bought and paid for his drinks upstairs and thought that was his tab. I understand that not everyone knows how restaurants work, but how could you think a tab for 2 drinks is the same as the one with food and more drinks on it? He paid his tab over the phone. While the tip was low, I was happy to get the tab paid, get some revenge, and feel like a detective. 3. So I work at a family restaurant and pizza place as a waiter or a busser depending on the day. Today I was bussing for the only waitress on shift. I work pretty small shifts from 4:30 to 7:30 usually, but sometimes I have to stay a little late to help out if there was a late rush. I had just gotten through a pretty decent rush and had just finished bringing a bunch of takeout through, and it was around 7 to 7:15. A single man who was around 60 years old came up to the till where I was at and asked for a table for 1 so he could watch the hockey game. The place where we have our TVs is our booths, and they were full because we can only fill 3 out of 10 of them, because we have to keep customers 6 feet apart. I decided to sit the man as close as I could to the TVs, which was on our half-bench, half-tables, behind the till, and if you sit on the bench side, you can see the TVs perfectly fine. I went to go grab the man some water and cutlery, and I noticed that he had moved up to our booths and sat right next to a table that already had 2 people at it. So I walked up to the man to ask him to return to his assigned table. I'm sorry, sir, but due to COVID, we have to sit tables 6 feet apart. If there is another table that you would like, we can try to accommodate you.
What is this, fucking Russia?
I'm sorry, we have to follow the guidelines or we could get fined. Please return to your seat. At this point, the main waitress was about to finish her shift, so my manager, who is also the owner, decided to take that table. I just got back from back bench and the man there is grumpy. I think he woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. At this point, quite a few tables were starting to leave, so I was stuck at the cash register at the front of the restaurant for quite a bit. About 5 minutes pass and the man gets up from his table to go talk to my manager about changing his order. He does not have a mask on and walks right past me on his way to her. I'm sorry, sir, but if you're walking around the restaurant, you need to wear a mask.
I'm just going to talk to the waitress that took my order.
I'm sorry, but we can get fined $1,000 if we do not enforce this. The man then rolled his eyes, fished a mask out of his pocket, and went to change his order. All was quiet for a while as everyone had their food and I was just washing tables, until the man got up from his table again. He made it about halfway across the restaurant before he passed me. I'm sorry, sir, but if you're walking around the restaurant, you need to wear a mask.
I'm just heading to the washroom.
I'm sorry, but you will need to wear a mask.
Suck me!
He then walked towards the bathroom without putting his mask on, and my manager handed me his bill and told me to ring him through as soon as he came back. At this point, I had two people who were either waiting for their pizza or waiting to pay for their food. The man came back after 2 minutes, still without his mask, and my manager decided to hang around the till until he left. "I'm sorry, sir, but you will need to wear a mask when you are paying."
I don't have one. I left my mask in my car. Let me go grab it.
"I'm sorry, I can't let you leave the restaurant without paying, and you had one with you when you came in." At this point, he was pissed off and fished his mask out of his pocket and put it on.
You know the reason we have to wear this fucking thing is because you smell so bad.
I put on my best and most cheerful customer service voice. "I'm so sorry about that. I'll have a shower when I get home. Would you like a copy of your receipt?"
No.
"Have a good weekend."
I hope you have a rotten week.
"Thank you." Right as I said that, he stormed out and my manager started cracking up. I had one of the people who were waiting for pizzas say that they had heard about people like that, but had never seen one in the wild. The best part of all this was when I went to sign out right after that, my manager said that I handled that very well, and gave me an order of chicken fingers and fries to take home. 4. I started serving around the beginning of the quarantine lockdown in March. I live in southern Texas and was lucky enough to work at a bar and restaurant that didn't shut down entirely for very long due to a loophole. Mind you, we all wear masks of course and practice social distancing as much as possible. I was working a day shift and in walked an 8-top of 8 girls that were around 20 years old. The place I live is largely a college area, so you can imagine the type. I had a lot of other tables outside, but everything went very well, including when all of the girls got their food. I checked on the table a bit after they got their food, and they said everything was perfect. Later on, while talking to another table, I glanced over and one of the girls literally snapped her fingers at me as a gesture to come over to her. I finished at my current table and came over to her. The girl told me, "I was eating my food and there's an ant on my plate touching my quesadilla." Keep in mind our quesadillas are very large and she had eaten a little over half. To give more background, 90% of our restaurant is outside. The table the girls were sitting at is a large table directly under a large tree that is known for insects such as small sugar ants falling off. The girl who complained was sitting in the last seat, closest to the trunk of the tree. I didn't know much of what to say and I said, "Well, this is outside and the only thing that I can say is that the ant probably fell off the tree. It definitely didn't come from our kitchen. But I can talk to the owner if you'd like." She told me she'd like me to talk to the owner, so I went to him. As even more background, I live with the owner. He's my boyfriend's father. He has my back on everything. I told him the situation, and he told me what I already assumed. The girl was trying to get a free meal. It's outside. What does she want us to do about it? I went back to the girls and told her once again that it was outside and I was sorry about the situation, and then, possibly an error on my part, but I didn't really care because she was rude, ignored the table after I gave them the checks. The total bill for the table was over $110, each on individual bills, of course. When they left and I collected the receipts and cleaned the table, I discovered a note in the complaints receipt that read, "I don't understand how an ant can get on my plate from where I'm sitting." The total tip from every girl that was there totaled around $3. Most girls tipped nothing from everyone that was there. A single girl tipped me, and I assume she maybe felt bad for me. I'm honestly mind-blown. How can you not understand how an ant can get on your plate while sitting under a large tree while outside? And expect a free meal when you've eaten over half of your meal, and suddenly a sugar ant ruins everything. Maybe I was in the wrong, but honestly all I did was follow owner instruction, and also, where I work, I don't have to take bullshit from people. I'm sorry that a lot of you do, and I commend you. I take bullshit a lot of times because I hate confrontation, but I don't have to. In this situation, I wasn't going to give a free meal to an entitled girl when her group likely wasn't going to tip much anyways, and I have no regrets. Thank you for listening if you made it this far. 5. Savannah, Georgia. Working at a fancy hotel bar. The sister hotel across town has a pretty serious night scene, so management decides to revamp the upstairs lounge of my sleepy location and try it out for late night. Great cocktail list, good prices, I was into it. Things had been going well, but I had given my notice and it was my last shift. I was a grad student and wanted more time for my final year. So tonight I was working with Matt. I didn't know him super well, but I knew he just got out of the army. There's a military base in Savannah, and a lot of guys I worked with were not only just getting out, but just getting back from places like Iraq or Afghanistan. We make some small talk, go over some specials, and he seemed good to go. The place starts filling up, and these two women sit at the bar and start flirting with Matt pretty heavily. The thing is, I can tell from afar that they are pretty sarcastic. He is a good-looking guy, but they are well off, and I almost get the impression at times that they are making fun of him, a little beyond playful banter. Out of nowhere we get slammed, like fucking ambushed. Some golf club luncheon or something I had no idea about. Bar is 4 deep, and I'm running low on coupe glasses, and we for some reason don't have a drink on the list that doesn't require 3 ounces of honey and a hen's egg. Matt's too busy flirting to help, and even a customer points this out.
Your buddy isn't doing shit!
So 3 things happen in really rapid succession. First, amidst all this, Matt asks the girls if they want to hang out after his shift. They don't just refuse, they laugh at him. I watch it go down, and it definitely rattles him. It was super harsh. He is so rattled that he breaks a wine glass in his ice bin. At which point another customer asks aggressively where the cocktail he ordered is. I watch all this, but can't help because I've got my own shit to deal with. I see a bus person and let him know we need more ice, more glasses, and the patron next to me goes,
"Yeah, better get another bartender, I think that one's broken."
I turn around and see Matt on the floor just sobbing. Completely broken, totally disassociated. This literally happened in a matter of maybe 2 minutes. Customers aren't backing off either. The girls are pointing and whispering, and things are getting pretty aggressive. He's oblivious to it, which is even scarier. It's not like a club where something can happen in one end and you don't realize it in another. This is a well-lit, quiet second-floor bar. When a grown man is loudly crying, you know it. I have to pick him up, leave the bar, and go into the hotel where I see a housekeeper. I tell her to radio the manager, and we get Matt into a room that is in the middle of being turned over. He's still a mess. And while I'm not trained or qualified to deal with this, I know he shouldn't be left alone. The housekeeper says she'll stay with him, and I get back to the bar. The rest of the shift is awful, but just because it took me so long to climb out of the hole, the crowd had their blood letting and sort of calmed down a bit. So I field promote 2 buzzers to barbacks, and one of the hostesses starts pouring beer and wine while I mix drinks. The flirting girls, who of course were guests at the hotel, put the drinks on their room tab and tip $4 on 50. I heard a guy from engineering, what we called maintenance at this location, not sure if that is normal for hotels, knew Matt and was able to get him leveled out and home, but I heard he quit the next day. Funny thing is that during all this, at some point someone grabbed 2 bottles off the rail while I was getting Matt to a safer spot. Probably thought we owed it to them for the bad service. That was my last bartending shift. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 129. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Regarding the turn in story 5 there, if you are in that situation and you find you're experiencing difficulties, don't be ashamed to reach out to someone. And if you have a bad night like that young man did, try not to feel bad about it. And certainly don't let other people's reactions make you feel bad. Really, all they're doing when they're laughing and snickering, if they see someone in that situation, is they're simply revealing their true nature, and it's not pleasant. I had considered putting helpline numbers in the description of the video. I don't really know the correct places to go, so if someone does know the proper numbers to put in there, let me know and I will add them. It would perhaps be useful for anyone coming across the video and they hear that story, and I wouldn't want to trigger something unknowingly for a person. I actually rejected not a spinning plate story, but another story tonight, a paranormal story. And the reason for that is because had I went ahead and used it, it would have been irresponsible for me to do so once I had further information on the context. And I do try, and I do think I'm a responsible storyteller. And I hope I'm doing the most good I can with my channel. Okay, with that, I'm gonna head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.